My beloved child, don't skip this fictional inspirational story, because what you're about to hear is not a prophecy or a promise about your future. It is a story about faith, perseverance, generosity, and hope. Stay until the very end, because the greatest treasure in this story is not money, it is the transformation of a human heart. For a long time, the main character felt as though every door had been closed. They worked hard, prayed for strength, helped others whenever they could, yet life seemed to answer with silence. Every morning they woke with hope, and every evening they wondered if their efforts truly mattered. There were moments when they questioned whether anyone noticed the sacrifices they made in secret. They never stopped trying, but the weight of disappointment became heavier with every passing season. One quiet night, exhausted from carrying so many burdens, they fell asleep. In this fictional story, they dreamed of standing in a peaceful valley illuminated by a warm golden sunrise. The air was calm, and everything around them felt filled with peace. A radiant messenger appeared, identified in the story as Archangel Gabriel. The messenger did not reveal hidden secrets about the future. Instead, the messenger offered words of encouragement. Your greatest test has never been whether you could become wealthy, the messenger said gently. It has been whether you would remain compassionate, honest, and faithful even when no reward seemed to come. True character is revealed in the waiting. The dream felt deeply meaningful. Not because it guaranteed riches, but because it reminded the dreamer that every act of kindness, every honest decision, and every moment of perseverance has value, even when no one else sees it. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. The next morning, the main character awakened with a different perspective. They stopped measuring success only by what they possessed. Instead, they began measuring success by the lives they encouraged, the promises they kept, and the integrity they carried into every decision. Days later, an unexpected opportunity appeared. A friend recommended them for meaningful work. Someone they had once helped returned with gratitude. A long-forgotten opportunity finally opened. None of it happened through magic. It happened because years of honesty, consistency, and compassion had quietly built trust with the people around them. As life slowly improved, they remembered the dream once more. The fortune was never simply a check. It was the opportunity to build a better future through wisdom, generosity, and faithful effort. Standing beside the window one evening, they quietly whispered, "If blessings come into my hands, let me use them to help others, to care for my family, and to leave this world kinder than I found it." A peaceful smile appeared. For the first time in years, they understood that real wealth is not measured only by what we receive. It is measured by the good we do with what we have. And from that day forward, every opportunity became a reminder that perseverance, integrity, gratitude, and compassion are treasures that no hardship can ever take away. The greatest reward in this fictional story was not a miraculous payment. It was becoming the kind of person who could be trusted with every blessing that came their way. And that realization became the beginning of the richest chapter of their life. My beloved child, don't skip this fictional inspirational story, because the journey has only just begun. Stay until the very end, because sometimes the greatest blessing arrives quietly, disguised as an ordinary opportunity. In the days following the remarkable dream, the main character cannot stop thinking about the gentle words they heard. They no longer spend every waking moment wondering when life will suddenly change. Instead, they begin asking themselves a different question. Am I becoming the kind of person who will use every opportunity wisely? That single thought begins transforming the way they live. Every morning they wake with gratitude instead of frustration. Every evening they reflect on the good they were able to do for someone else. Little by little, their heart becomes lighter. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. One afternoon, while walking home, they notice an elderly shopkeeper struggling to organize heavy boxes outside a small family-owned store. Without expecting anything in return, they stop and spend nearly an hour helping. When everything is finished, the grateful shopkeeper smiles warmly. "You've helped me more than you realize," they say. The main character simply smiles back and continues walking. They never ask for recognition. They never expect a reward. Helping someone simply felt like the right thing to do. Several days later, an unexpected phone call arrives. The same shopkeeper explains that a close friend has been searching for someone trustworthy to join an important project. "I immediately thought of you," the shopkeeper says. The main character is surprised. Why me? The answer is simple. Because skill can be taught. Character cannot. "I saw your character." Those words remain in their heart for a very long time. The opportunity turns out to be one they had quietly hoped for years earlier. Not because it promises instant riches, but because it offers stability, meaningful work, and the chance to build a brighter future through dedication and integrity. Weeks pass. The project grows. New friendships are formed. The main character continues working diligently, treating everyone with respect regardless of their position. Slowly, people begin noticing. Not only because of excellent work, but because of honesty, kindness, reliability. One evening, after another successful day, they remember the dream again. This time they understand something they completely missed before. The last test in the story was never about proving whether they deserved wealth. It was about proving they would continue doing the right thing even when nobody was watching. That realization fills them with peace. Later that night, they sit quietly beneath a sky filled with stars and write in their journal. "Today I learned that opportunities often arrive wearing ordinary clothes. The greatest blessings are sometimes hidden inside simple acts of kindness, faithful work, patience, and integrity. Every decision shapes the future one step at a time." They gently close the journal. Looking toward the horizon, they smile. Not because every dream has already come true, but because they now understand that success is not one extraordinary moment. It is the result of countless ordinary moments lived with honesty, perseverance, gratitude, and compassion. As the stars continue shining above them, they whisper one quiet prayer. "May I never become so focused on receiving blessings that I forget to become a blessing to others." A gentle breeze moves through the trees. Their heart feels lighter than ever before. And in this fictional story, they realize that every act of integrity has been preparing them, not for instant fortune, but for a life filled with purpose, meaningful opportunities, and the kind of success that can never be measured by money alone. The greatest chapter is still ahead. My beloved child, don't skip this fictional inspirational story, because tonight the journey reaches a moment where every act of patience begins to bear fruit. Stay until the very end, because the greatest rewards often arrive after a person's character has already been transformed. Months have passed since the unforgettable dream. The main character is no longer waiting for a miracle to suddenly change everything. Instead, they have learned to find purpose in each ordinary day. They work with excellence, speak with kindness, and remain honest even when no one is watching. In this fictional story, they discover that consistency is far more powerful than quick success. One afternoon, the leader of the company quietly asks to meet with them after work. For a moment, worry enters their mind. Have I done something wrong? They replay every conversation and every decision from the past few weeks. When they enter the office, the leader smiles warmly. Please, have a seat. The room is peaceful. A long silence follows. Then the leader begins speaking. I've watched the way you treat people. I've noticed how you encourage new employees, how you solve problems without looking for praise, and how you keep your word even when it's difficult. Those qualities are rare. The main character listens quietly, unsure of what to say. The leader continues. Many people chase success. Few build the character needed to sustain it. Those words settle deeply in their heart. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. The leader explains that the organization is preparing to launch an important new project. It will require someone dependable. Someone trustworthy. Someone who thinks about people before personal recognition. The leader smiles again. We believe you're that person. The main character is speechless. Not because they expected the opportunity, but because they never realized that years of quiet faithfulness had been noticed. As the weeks pass, they step into their new responsibilities with humility. Instead of becoming proud, they continue serving others with the same kindness they always had. Whenever someone struggles, they offer encouragement. Whenever someone succeeds, they celebrate them sincerely. Their greatest joy is no longer receiving opportunities. It is helping other people discover theirs. One evening, while walking home beneath a golden sunset, they remember the dream once more. The words suddenly become crystal clear. True character is revealed in the waiting. Now they understand. The waiting season was never empty. It was a classroom. Every disappointment taught resilience. Every delay taught patience. Every challenge taught wisdom. Every act of kindness prepared them for responsibilities they could never have carried before. Later that night, they open their journal and slowly write. Today I learned that blessings often arrive after our hearts have been prepared to handle them wisely. If success had come earlier, I might have missed the lessons that matter most. Patience shaped me into someone who values people more than possessions and purpose more than applause. Closing the journal, they smile with quiet gratitude. The dream no longer feels like a mystery. It feels like a reminder. Not to chase wealth, but to become the kind of person whose life is rich in integrity, generosity, compassion, and hope. Looking toward the peaceful night sky, they whisper. Thank you for every season of waiting. Those seasons taught me lessons that immediate success never could. A gentle breeze passes through the trees. Their heart is filled with peace. In this fictional story, they finally understand that the greatest fortune was never simply an opportunity placed in their hands. It was the wisdom, humility, and character they gained while preparing to receive it. And because of that, the next chapter will become the most meaningful one of all. My beloved child, don't skip this fictional inspirational story, because tonight the journey reaches the moment where every season of waiting begins to reveal its true purpose. Stay until the very end, because the greatest blessings are often the ones that allow us to become a blessing in someone else's life. Months continue to pass, and the main character embraces every new responsibility with gratitude. Success no longer changes the way they treat people. They still greet everyone with kindness, they still listen before speaking, and they still remember what it felt like to struggle through difficult days. One morning, while walking into work, they notice a young employee sitting alone with tears in their eyes. It is the person's first week, and they feel overwhelmed, convinced they are not good enough to succeed. Without hesitation, the main character sits beside them and quietly says, "I know what it feels like to think you're not enough. But don't let one difficult day convince you to give up on your future." Those simple words bring comfort to the young employee. Over the following weeks, they continue encouraging them, answering questions, and helping them grow with patience instead of criticism. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. Several months later, that same employee receives an important promotion. During a small celebration, they stand before everyone and say, "The reason I didn't quit during my first week is because one person believed in me before I believed in myself." They turn toward the main character with grateful tears. The room fills with applause. The main character smiles quietly. They realize something beautiful. The greatest reward was never recognition. It was seeing another person discover confidence and hope. That evening, they receive another unexpected opportunity. A respected community organization invites them to mentor young people who are preparing to begin their careers. At first, they hesitate. Am I really qualified for something like this? The organizer smiles warmly. We're not looking for someone who knows everything. We're looking for someone whose life demonstrates integrity, humility, and compassion. Those words remind them once again of the dream. Not because it predicted specific events, but because it encouraged them to become someone who could be trusted with opportunities to serve others. Every Saturday, they begin meeting with groups of young adults. They share practical lessons. They encourage perseverance. They remind people that success without character is empty, while character has the power to create lasting success. Many lives begin changing. Not because of extraordinary speeches, but because of consistent encouragement and genuine care. One evening, after returning home from another mentoring session, they sit quietly by the window watching the sunset. Opening their journal, they write, "Today I discovered that the richest life is not measured by what enters my hands. It is measured by what leaves my heart." Every encouraging word, every honest action, every opportunity to help another person becomes a treasure that cannot be taken away. Closing the journal, they smile peacefully. The dream that once seemed mysterious has now become completely clear. The fortune in this fictional story was never only about financial success. It was about receiving the chance to build a meaningful life that could encourage countless other people. Standing outside beneath a sky filled with stars, they quietly whisper, "If I am ever trusted with greater opportunities, may I always remember the days when I had very little. May success never take away my compassion, and may every blessing become a reason to help someone else rise." The cool evening breeze gently moves through the trees. Their heart is filled with gratitude instead of pride. In this fictional story, they finally understand that true abundance is not found in what a person owns. It is found in the lives they touch, the hope they share, and the kindness they leave behind. And as they look toward the horizon, they know one thing with complete certainty. The most beautiful chapter of their journey is still waiting to be written. My beloved child, don't skip this fictional inspirational story, because this is the final chapter. The moment every season of waiting, every quiet act of kindness, and every lesson learned through hardship finally comes together. Stay until the very end, because the greatest blessing in this story is not a fortune check. It is discovering that a life filled with integrity, compassion, and gratitude is the richest life of all. Several years have now passed since the unforgettable dream. Looking back, the main character can hardly recognize the person they once were. There was a time when they believed success meant receiving more. Now they understand that true success also means giving more. There was a time when they measured blessings by numbers. Now they measure them by the lives they have encouraged, the families they have helped, and the hope they have shared. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. One bright morning, they receive a letter from the organization they have faithfully served for many years. Inside is a note of appreciation. It reads, "Your honesty, humility, and generosity have inspired countless people. Because of your faithful service, we are honored to recognize your contribution and entrust you with an even greater opportunity to lead projects that will benefit many families and communities." The letter is accompanied by a financial award. The main character smiles with gratitude. Not because of the amount, but because it represents years of faithful work, trust, and service. Holding the letter in their hands, they quietly remember the dream from long ago. The dream never promised instant wealth. It encouraged them to become the kind of person who would use every blessing wisely. That lesson changed everything. Instead of keeping every reward for themselves, they begin creating scholarships for young students who cannot afford their education. They quietly support struggling families. They help small businesses in difficult seasons. They donate books to local schools. They encourage people who have almost lost hope. No cameras. No applause. No desire for recognition. Only a grateful heart that remembers what it once felt like to struggle. Months later, while attending a community celebration, many people come forward to thank them. One young graduate says, "Because someone believed in me, I became the first person in my family to finish university." A small business owner smiles through tears. "Your encouragement gave me the courage to keep going when I was ready to quit." An elderly couple gently says, "Your kindness reminded us that we were not forgotten." Hearing those words, the main character realizes something extraordinary. The greatest fortune was never the financial reward. The greatest fortune was seeing hope return to other people's lives. That evening, they returned to the peaceful hill where the journey first began. The sun slowly sets beyond the horizon. Golden light fills the sky. They quietly open the journal they started years ago. Turning to the very last page, they write, "Today I finally understand the meaning of true wealth. It is not measured by what I collect, but by what I share. It is found in honest work, faithful character, grateful living, generous giving, and the lives forever changed through simple acts of kindness. Every season of waiting prepared me to become someone who could use blessings to bless others." They gently close the journal. Not because the story has ended, but because a beautiful new chapter has already begun. Standing beneath the evening sky, they whisper with a peaceful smile, "Thank you for teaching me that the richest heart is the one that never forgets where it came from and never stops lifting others along the way." A gentle breeze moves across the hill. The stars begin appearing one by one. Their heart is completely at peace. In this fictional story, the last test was never about proving whether they deserved a fortune. It was about proving that success would never change their character. And because they chose integrity over pride, generosity over selfishness, and compassion over greed, every blessing became more meaningful than they had ever imagined. As a new sunrise begins to appear, they walk forward with confidence, knowing that the greatest riches are not stored in a bank account. They are stored in the love we give, the hope we inspire, the lives we touch, and the legacy of kindness we leave behind.